June 24th, 1947, that marked the beginning of what is known as the modern flying saucer era. What followed would be thousands upon thousands of unidentified flying objects over North America as well as other parts of the world.
It seemed to hover for a matter of maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then was out of sight within 2 or 3 seconds, which was a lot faster than it had been traveling originally.
We were using our red lights and our aircraft landing lights, which is a spotlight, and pointing them or directing them at the UFO. And it was reacting to it audibly on occasion, and it did make a movement towards the lights. As we turned the light off, then it would return to its original position and remain stationary again. But it was reactive to the lights.
I judged it to be at least 150 feet across it. It was saucer-shaped with a high dome. It was very shiny underneath. It was a porcelain-type finish. And I was getting a tremendous shock all over my whole body. My hair was standing up, and I had electrical static feeling over my hair on my arms and my head. I thought it was doomsday.
He was standing at the doorway screaming at me to get up. We got to get out of here. It's going to get us. And I looked out there, and it was pitch black when I first looked. And by now, he's got a hold of me, and he's shaking me, and he's screaming at me, which Bill doesn't scream. I mean, he's just hysterical is the way I can explain the way he was. And he keeps telling me we got to get the kids out of here. It's going to get us. And I didn't see anything. So I looked again, and all of a sudden, I saw this like a real bright light. And I still didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what had scared him. But after looking at the way he was and looking at what I saw, I knew I better listen to him. So I went down the hallway and grabbed my daughter. And I came back to the hallway and went out the front door, and he had grabbed our son by then.
When he came back up the second time, I felt like death was at hand. I figured this was it. And as soon as it touched down, then the whole area just lit up.
You couldn't see anything inside, but you could see the outline of the whole object. And it was going through the sky. Not really, it didn't seem to be going really fast. After a while, it just started straight up in the air.
Estas são imagens feitas por cinegrafista amador que viajava do Rio de Janeiro para Vitória, no Espírito Santo.
São 4 bolas, ó, dá pra ver 4 bolas.
Veja bem, o objeto voador brilha muito e desaparece. E cada vez que volta, parece que se multiplica.
Lá no Paraná, ele me mandou.
A luz ficou no céu de Casimiro de Abreu por pelo menos 1h30. O objeto voador foi visto por dezenas de motoristas que passavam pela BR-101.
Aqui que dá pra ver.
Céu escuro, sem estrela. Como num passe de mágica, surge o objeto. Ele brilha. Muita gente vê. E ninguém consegue identificar o que é.
Um disco voador, né? Que doideira, hein?
O objeto desaparece e aparece de novo. Ele não tem uma forma fixa. Veja como ele às vezes se assemelha a uma bola, mas em seguida se abre num anel e torna a se juntar. Brilha intensamente. Essa dança no céu durou 1h30. E assim como apareceu, desapareceu.
Another one. Oh, look. One, two. There's another
Wait,
one.
where?
Chimney. There's another one, too.
Where?
There's
Oh, look at that.
There's another one.
No, we're just excited. We're not.
They keep coming.
Wait, I see. Whoa, look at them.
I got that one on video.
There's just 4 of them. Look at, there's 3 of them all together.
I got the third one popping in.
To your left. There's one behind the chimney. One just flared up.
I got 4 of them. Major sighting here.
No, there's 5. Oh! Another one just showed up. They're multiplying. Whoa!
Maybe somebody's setting up lights.
Did you see that?
No, those are in the sky.
There's one underneath the house, too.
There's one behind that chimney.
Look it. Come
We need to go to Pecos.
I can't see how this works. How does this
Holy
work?
Oh, you got it too
shit.
hot. Have you seen that before?
No.
That's weird.
They're lined up in a pattern, man. There's geometry behind this.
I can't even get this. I've never seen it. Look at that.
Man, this is...
What is this?
Let's see. Oh, there's 3 of them all lined up.
We've compiled the top 10
the greatest, most important UFO sightings of all time. We did it with the help of noted UFO researcher Kevin Randall of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The only ground rules: the object must have interacted with the environment, and there had to be physical evidence. We begin with number 10, Tremonton, Utah, July 1952.
We have something that was created prior to the era of computers where the average citizen could not create the special effects to fake something like that.
Number 9, Great Falls, Montana, August 1950. Nick Mariana takes 16mm movies of two objects moving across the sky. Number 8, the Lubbock Lights, September 1951. Carl Hart Jr. takes 5 photographs of a series of lights flying over Lubbock, Texas. Number 7, the recent Arizona sightings, March and April 1997. Lights in the sky, thousands of witnesses on the ground, many with cameras.
And the Air Force claimed that they're not required to do anything about it.
The number 6 most important sighting, the Zamora case. April 1964. A policeman from New Mexico sees an object on the ground with creatures inside. The object takes flight, leaving marks where it landed and part of the area in flames. Number 5, July 1952. A series of radar sightings over Washington International Airport. Number 4, 1980, England, the Bentwaters incident.
We have some very high-ranking military officials who were involved in those sightings, making claims about them.
Number 3, Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, October 1967. An object falls from the sky into the ocean off the coast of Canada. Number 2, June 24th, 1947. The Cascades Mountain Range, Washington State. Kenneth Arnold sees 9 bright objects from his small plane. And the Strange Universe #1 UFO sighting of all time, Roswell, New Mexico, June 3rd, 1947.
A craft built on another planet, piloted by a crew born on another planet, crashed outside of Roswell, New Mexico. It was recovered by the military and taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
And now Mitchell is taking another step beyond. Past healers and ESP, get ready. This man who's been to the moon is saying publicly for the first time that he believes we have been visited by inhabitants of other planets, extraterrestrials, here. He says he's talked to people who've had close encounters of the third kind.
I have no first-hand experience, but I have had the opportunity to meet with people from 3 countries who, in the course of their official duties, claim to have had a personal first-hand encounter experience.
With extraterrestrials?
With extraterrestrials.
Aliens from some other place?
That's what they claim.
Take, for instance, what's maybe the most famous sighting of UFOlogy. The wreckage of something that fell out of the sky and was found in the desert of Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Mitchell is in the camp of those who believe it was a spacecraft. He scoffs at the government's explanation of a crashed high-atmosphere balloon.
The people that were there said that's utter nonsense. Come on, let's have the truth.
Do you think it's more likely than not that extraterrestrials have been to this planet?
From what I now understand and have experienced and seen the evidence for, I think the evidence is very strong. And large portions of it are classified.
Classified by whom?
By governments.
You're saying it not only likely happened, but there's been a cover-up?
Oh, I think if it has happened the way it seems to be, there's definitely been a cover-up.
Mitchell wouldn't name names, but he says some of his information comes from former highly classified U.S. government employees, people who say our government picked up some engineering secrets from UFOs. The Department of Defense declined to comment on Mitchell's allegations, but gave us the U.S. Air Force's standard handout on unidentified flying objects, stating there has been no evidence indicating that sightings categorized as unidentified are extraterrestrial. Case closed. So is Edgar Mitchell lost in space? Not to audiences like this one at Cambridge University in England.
This is a man who's traveled further than almost any of us.
Scientists and New Agers find something provocative in this quiet man from the moon.
There is no unnatural or supernatural experience. There is just experience.
Mystic, astronaut, and now author, Edgar Mitchell has written a book, The Way of the Explorer, telling all about the incredible journey that is his life.
Hey, hey, UFOs, people have a right to know.
Then there is the other version of what happened that night. You probably saw it last summer in the movie Independence Day.
In the 50s or whatever, you had that spaceship. Was that Roswell, New Mexico, yeah. No, you had the spaceship, and you had the bodies. They were all locked up in a bunker.
The UFO believers tell a story that goes something like this. Not only did an alien spaceship crash into this arroyo here in the desert, but the bodies of several, no one can agree on how many, extraterrestrials were pulled from the wreckage, driven across the desert to this Hangar 84, then loaded onto planes and flown east for secret autopsies. The bodies and the wreckage remain hidden, the deepest government secret in history. Today, anyone who knows anything about aliens knows that 20 miles east of Roswell, on Hub Corn's land, is the one true crash site. Among the believers is this man, Philip Corso, a highly decorated Army lieutenant colonel who until his retirement was a senior staff officer at the Pentagon, for 21 years privy to this nation's most sensitive secrets. He has come forward now to say aliens crashed at Roswell. In his book, The Day After Roswell, he claims, in fact, that alien technology changed all our lives. Corso's story begins just days after the alleged crash. July 1947, then Major Corso was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. He saw, he says, an extraordinary shipment headed for Washington from Roswell, which he described for us when we visited the Roswell UFO Museum and Research Center.
They were not caskets, but they were boxes, they say they were about 6 feet long, about 3 or 4 feet wide, and they were covered with tarps. So when I went in with a sergeant, and he picked up one corner of the tarp, and here's this body floating in some sort of liquid.
A body?
Yeah, a body. A complete body, not the head only. Complete body.
What kind of a body?
It was like that thing there.
You're serious?
Yeah, simple face, not much to it. Little holes in the eyes. It looked different, and it was small.
It was dead?
Dead. It was flowing some sort of liquid.
Where did they go?
I don't know. I never got into that.
Corso says he never mentioned his close encounter with alien bodies when he was on General MacArthur's staff in the Korean War, or when he was military advisor to President Eisenhower, or even when he was a commander of a nuclear missile battalion in Germany during the Cold War.
So you commanded nuclear warheads?
I had atomic warheads. You know, this was not trivial stuff.
You're a colonel in the U.S. Army with access to the most secure secrets of the United States government.
I had all the clearances above top secret. I had the satellite clearance, eyes only at the White House. I had the crypto clearances. I had all those clearances one time or other.
And you believe in flying saucers?
I have to believe it.
In the whole Roswell saga, Colonel Corso holds a particularly important position. He is the only alleged eyewitness to the alleged existence of the alleged alien bodies.
We called them, in those days, extraterrestrial biological entities.
You are the last living human being that saw those alien bodies.
Remember now, there was people like me who who were people who wouldn't talk.
So you think there are still people out there keeping the secret?
I don't think I'm the last thing. There are.
So tell me about this here.
Well, this is similar to what it looks like. Now, the mouth is different. I didn't see any big mouth like that. No sex organs. The nose was not like that. The ear is about right. And that eyelid, finally, when it was analyzed, it was that it collected light, like our image intensifies.
And as we'll see, that glimpse of the aliens was only the start of Colonel Corso's involvement with the great Roswell alien cover-up. After all, extraterrestrials from Roswell and elsewhere are not all that, well, alien a concept. In fact, a Dateline poll revealed 50% of adults surveyed said they believe the U.S. government has concealed information when it comes to aliens and UFOs.
And some witnesses reported that UFOs were shaped like hamburgers, even Big Macs.
What's behind all the recent reports of
weird happenings in the skies over Phoenix recently?
For the last 50 years, the American public has conducted its own search for intelligent life in the universe. And these days, on the scores of websites and chat rooms that examine every aspect of the UFO phenomenon, you can find Colonel Corso's blockbuster story. And wait till they hear the rest of his story. Corso says that in 1961, he was posted to the Pentagon to the Office of Foreign Technology with one of the most secret assignments in history, custody of the actual Roswell UFO wreckage. And the book says Corso was ordered by his superiors to share the alien secrets with military contractors.
We planted the seed, and then we'd see how the progress was going.
And those seeds, Corso claims to have sowed, yielded an operator's manual for the millennium, an incredible array of inventions, all, he says, reverse engineered by American corporations from alien technology.
Well, let's go through a list. Here's a very simple version of fiber optic. The first time you saw fiber optic?
It was in a little bundle.
In that flying saucer debris?
Yeah.
Stealth technology.
Some of it came from aliens.
Some of it came from aliens?
Some of it.
And this flew in the Go-4?
Yes.
But perhaps the most important, these little Walkman radios, computers, everything that we have, the heart of it is one of these.
As far as I'm concerned, the most important thing that we did was the integrated circuit.
You saw it the first time?
Size of a quarter, black.
From the flying saucer
one
debris?
Was charred. I had about 4 or 5 of them.
So all this technology came from aliens?
We called it applied engineering. What we meant by that was give this information to industry that wants it and encourage them to take credit for it and take the patents.
Boy, I bet the aliens would love to have the patents.
Well,
maybe the aliens have lawyers.
I don't know.
So we talked to representatives of the companies cited in Colonel Corso's book. They hold the patents on things like Kevlar, fiber optics, lasers, night vision scopes, and integrated circuits. All items Corso maintains came from alien technology. It's a who's who of American industry. But Monsanto, DuPont, Hughes Aircraft, Bell Labs, and Dow Chemical all said they had never heard of Colonel Corso or the Roswell wreckage. Dow Chemical did expand its statement to say, quote, although we're not entirely certain, we strongly suspect that all of the men and women Dow scientists responsible for our inventions over the years hail from the planet Earth. And Bell Labs claimed that its technology, too, is, quote, grounded in the creativity and hard work of very talented Earthlings. Corso says the companies weren't supposed to know where their inventions came from. They were purposely misled. It was all part of the plan.
Roswell is not only a series of hoaxes, but it's rumor-mongering, legend-making, raconteuring, everything you can imagine.
Joe Nickel edits The Skeptical Inquirer, a publication dedicated to investigating claims of the paranormal.
So what is the likelihood that in some file in Washington that there was a little bag of artifacts from a crash site that ended up seeding all these technological changes, as Colonel Corso claims?
I believe the odds are between 0 and none.
That high? What crashed at Roswell?
What crashed at Roswell was a secret government spy balloon called Project Mogul.
It took 6 pounds of paper for the Air Force to say the same thing in this 1994 investigation. The Roswell UFO was a balloon. Colonel Richard Weaver, now retired, wrote the Air Force report. He feels for the Roswell faithful.
No, I think regardless of what the Air Force says itself or what anybody says that contradicts their beliefs in that, that they're not going to be happy, because some of these people have turned this into their life's calling. I got bad news for them. They're going to go down with a pretty boring life because there's nothing there.
Period of time.
The findings were reiterated once again today in the latest Air Force report.
There were about 2,500 balloons launched during this 30-year period.
But no government report will deter the Roswell faithful, who are sure the truth is indeed out there. They have made Roswell, population 50,000, into a boomtown, home to not one but 2 UFO museums, more alien merchandising than any place in the galaxy, attracting thousands of little green men, mostly dead presidents, Lincoln, Jackson, and Grant. As for proud old soldier Philip Corso, he says there's even more to tell. It's not in his book, but you heard it here first.
Oh, this is the site here.
I'll tell you something. I saw something like this some other place.
Really? Where?
It was Faden, time machine. I'll tell you about that later.
You'll tell me about the time machine later? Okay. I mean,
my German
how long do we have on the air today?
This interview. It's Bill English. He's a retired national security analyst, what he found out about the UFO cover-up, and it made his life real miserable after he found out, but he wants the truth to be known. So here's the interview with Bill English.
And basically went on to other missions.
So now we come back in, you're now with the National Security Agency, and you're getting in to be asked to review this grudge report.
I was, by this time, I had worked for the NSA for about a year and a half. Had developed quite a record for accuracy in my analyses of information. And you have to bear in mind that the information that we were getting in was information that was picked up from monitoring radio broadcasts from within the Soviet Union. And what we would do is we would take this information, translate it. People like myself would read the information, compare it to other information that we'd received, and collate it. And then we would make a determination as to whether or not there was a movement of some kind, personnel that moved, or there was some sort of activity taking place. And then we would write up a report on it and submit it back through proper channels, which in this case was materials presented to us by the officer of the day. We'd make our analysis and then return it to the officer of the day.
So then through that, you were asked to review this grudge report.
Well, essentially, I was given the grudge report by the officer of the day with orders to analyze the document. It was presented to me by the OD in a diplomatic pouch, which had come from the American Embassy in Moscow.
Did you have any clue at that time what it was about?